Retail and hospitality is changing, with often complex and fragmented systems combined with large volumes of customer data for businesses to make sense of. It's critical to work with the right partners in order to guarantee success. At Tratec Consulting, we help retail and hospitality businesses transform their technology, removing overly bloated processes and creating unified and efficient systems of working throughout. So don't just take our word for it. See for yourself. Tratec Consulting, the leaders in technology transformation across retail and hospitality.
Good evening and welcome to the All Things Borough podcast. This is the official podcast for Farnborough Football Club and sponsored by Tratec Consulting. Tratec takes your business visions and turns them into innovative reality. Good evening to everybody watching us on YouTube. I'm Alan as normal and I'm joined as usual by Simon. Good evening, Simon. How are you doing?
Good evening, Alan. Good evening, YouTubers. How is...
you always sound like a robot.
I'm robotic.
Yeah. I was a bit robotic, Simon.
Was it? Oh, it's my new way. It's better than my squeaky, horrible voice that I normally got. So, yeah. I think it might be the milk I've just drank. I've just drank some milk. It's just sticking in my throat a little bit. That might be what it is, maybe. It's skimmed milk. It's 37p from M&S. Couldn't sell it down. There we are. Yeah, bargain.
Oh, okay. Other than that, you're doing all right, yeah?
Yeah, I'm all right. Yeah. I'm in Loughborough as usual, working away. We're trying to put away 9 criminals, but, is what it is.
Working.
Yeah. Long day today. Was it 10:45 till 4? An hour and 15 minutes lunch. It was hard.
Right. Okay. Enough of that, because we all know you're talking nonsense. But as everybody can see that's watching us on YouTube here, you can see we have got Farnborough, part of the Farnborough management team, I should say. Steve Baker. Good evening, Steve. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Are you? You all right?
Yeah, not too bad. Yeah, for me, unlike someone else, I've actually had a really long, tough day at work today. So,
don't
like Simon. Simon, I actually do some work.
Got no sympathy. That's why he stuck. He had a shave. He had time for a shave this morning, and he thought, I better look a bit more haggard and tired. So he stuck it back on his face again. Just, what
I want to get a job like Simon. That sounds all right.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. We can all do with a job like Simon. Simon does absolutely sod all.
Yeah, I've worked with a few people like
that. Yeah.
I was extremely busy pressing all the buttons on my keyboard today, trying to display all the evidence. You know what I mean? I had to play a few videos today as well. It was showing some would-be crims going in and out of some property. It was hard work.
No, you'll never be out of work then.
No. I always said that. I said that when I got this job. I'm never going to be out of a job. There's going to be two. In fact, we're snowed under. We've got like 16 trials at the minute. So, yeah, it's mental. There we go. Happy days. Yeah. So you're still a first league, didn't you? You're down south at the minute doing a bit of work. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. Just oddly enough, about 10 minutes from Worthing. Which I won't go into, but that was a mistake my end. But yeah, finishing tomorrow and then heading back down to the game tomorrow night.
Yeah, you said, didn't you? You planned your week around being the Worthing game, not realising that it was at our place and not theirs.
Yeah, I did tell you that when we weren't recording, funnily enough.
Yeah, no, I couldn't resist bringing it back up again.
I'll confess, every football club's got a few idiots, and this week I was one of them. I don't know why. I had it in I looked at fixtures ages ago because I'm always planning ahead with work and what I'm doing. And for some reason, I don't know why, clearly I didn't look at it correctly, I thought we were going to Worthing. So I thought, perfect. I had a nice little job back 20 minutes from Worthing. Got that nice and planned, and then driving back on Saturday with Guy in the car, and I said, "Oh, do you want to lift to Worthing on Tuesday?" He said, "No." He said, "We're playing at home." So yeah, change of plan. Had to go work a little bit earlier, but no, I'll get it all done anyway. So yeah. But,
you have got everybody looking through the fixtures now, making sure they're not right, they're not wrong, and you're right, Steve. You know what I mean? Everyone's checking it.
Well, I'm glad I asked Guy because otherwise I'd have gone to Worthing tomorrow night.
Turned up thinking, it's a bit quiet. Has it been called off? No.
God, it was slaughtered for that.
Yeah. That's quite funny.
All sorted now.
Yeah, well, you could have let us know a bit earlier. If you'd found out a bit earlier, Steve, you could have had a word with the club and say, listen, can you switch the fixture around and like Hornchurch have done for us, and what we did with St Albans and switched around.
Yeah.
Could have done that, but
I think we both know the answers to that.
Yeah. Speaking of, before we go on to your history, speaking of the club, obviously we weren't at the game on Saturday, and at the time of recording, Spencer has done his little his pre-match for tomorrow's game, which a lot of people would have seen already. What's your thoughts on the game on Saturday and the last few weeks in general?
I mean, Saturday as a game was a brilliant game of football. There's no doubt about that. And I think Spence said in his post-match interview, for the neutral watcher or someone who's in football, great game of football. Two teams who got it down and played and attacked and tried to score goals. But I spoke to Dom earlier on when he was doing the notes for the Saturday's programme, and I think Saturday's game probably summed our current form up at the minute. Really, really good going forward. I think our brand of football is a lot better now. I know we had a chat a few weeks back prior to the Hemel game where we felt that we needed to try and get the ball down and play a little bit more because we've got some really good technical players in the side, the likes of Ricky, Joe, Reg, Millsy, Chin and people like that. And I think if you're going to play direct football, I don't think you get the best out of them kind of players. And I certainly think from an attacking point of view, over the last 7 or 8 games, I mean, starting from the first game at Hemel away, I think we've played some great football going forward. But then it's about getting the balance right, because sometimes, not saying because we're playing like that, that's why we're conceding, because I don't think it is. But there might be certain areas where you might leave yourself a little bit more open. But as I say, Saturday probably summed us up. Brilliant going forward. Couldn't fault the effort of the lads, the work rate. But collectively, defensively as a group at the minute, we're nowhere near good enough.
What do you think? What do you think? Because obviously we've shipped quite a few goals in the last 4 or 5 games. And if you can sort of talk about it, what do you think? What can you put your finger on? What the issue is? Because if players don't become bad players overnight, do you know what I mean? So, what is it in your opinion? Or is
it more than one thing? Is it more than one thing?
Yeah, I think sometimes if it's one obvious thing, it's an easy one to remedy.
Yeah.
Like if it was one player or if it was one individual, like costing you goals all the time, then you know what the issue is and you can sort it. I think we've got done a couple of times on counter-attack, which could potentially be that we maybe need to look at when we counter-attack positional shape of defences, because so many defenders at all level, whether that's a defender in the central part of the midfield, the central part of the back four, fullback, or it could be nowadays, obviously everyone's got a holding midfielder. So many people, when you attack, are looking at where we're going with the ball and attacking rather than where's my position, where's my forward. And that's why you see so many sides get done on a counter-attack, because you think they've lost the ball on the edge of their box and 5 seconds later they're 1-0 down. So there could be an element of that. But I think if you look at, I would say maybe 5 or 6 of the goals across the Dorking game, Salisbury game and Saturday have been from set pieces. And listen, you're going to concede goals, and ultimately sometimes a couple of the Dorking goals against us, they were really good goals. They were good attacking goals. Listen, any goal you concede, you can find a fault in it. But my flip argument to that is, well, every time we score, we say it's a great goal, but I bet their manager looks at it and says,
exactly.
We didn't defend very well. So I think you've got to get the balance right. But I think across them last games I've mentioned, if we defended better on set pieces, we would have won all 3 of those games. So I would say the key issue for me has been set pieces. Now, whether that's concentration, whether that's people not taking enough responsibility, because you know what a lot of teams are like, the ball goes in the net, it's no one's fault. So I think there's an element of a side that we've got to take a little bit more responsibility. And I wouldn't necessarily say sort of, because I think the lads are committed, they try. I don't think there's an element of people won't put their head in. I mean, you've got the likes of Guy, Robbo, Fruits and Josh and people like that, they don't shirk out of tackles. They throw their like Cooley in there as well. They throw their bodies on the line. So I think it's a lapse of concentration sometimes, and sometimes if you're on a set piece and you're marking individuals, you can't get beat. Listen, if the delivery is unbelievable, sometimes you will get beat. It happens at the Premier League level, so it's going to happen in the National South. So I would say set pieces has been a big issue, but it's gone over 3 or 4 games now, and I think Spencer made it very, very clear that he's not prepared to put up with that later for much longer. And your solutions are probably one of two, really. It's either a change of personnel, or it might be a change of personnel in your next starting lineup, because who's getting them opportunities at the minute? They're not doing it deliberately. We're not defending well enough as a group. But it's not just about the defenders or the goalkeeper. There's other areas where we've conceded goals where I think we could have done better in midfield, and we could have done better in wide areas. So you can't always blame the back 3 or back 4. I think it's a group thing as well. But on the flip side of it, the boys are doing the business going forward. But at the minute, we're having to score 4 goals a game to get a point.
Yeah, exactly.
You ain't going anywhere with that.
No, as you said, Steve, as I said, it's kind of a mixture of a lot of things. I think some of the issue is we're quite a small team. And when I say small, I mean, as in we're not very tall. You got Pruti's probably the tallest player, isn't he, really? There isn't anyone else that I can think of that's sort of maybe over 6 foot. Cooley's not small, but he's not huge either, is he? But you say when he's just brought in, so there's quite a small. I think it's sometimes a little bit of that, and a little bit of probably I've been a bit unlucky. There's been a few really good goals scored against us. But yeah, the set pieces thing is kind of like like you said, you can't get beat. I think certain things you've got to make sure you win your one-on-one. A lot of people go on about one-on-one duels, which I don't like. I don't really like that term, but it is what it is, isn't it?
No, it is. And to be fair, I think your point about size-wise, I mean, if you look at the start of last year, obviously Alfie Pavey was playing up top, so when he come back, that was a big asset from set pieces, and Alf was good at that. And we don't have that height in the side at the minute, but it's like I say, it's getting that balance right, because we're so good going forward. We're 10 times better going forward than we were last year.
Yeah. And also what you said about playing style as well. It's definitely there was sort of a little bit undertones of discontent from some fans that I heard and spoke to, saying that we weren't playing very good football. It was a bit like sort of very direct, bloody blah. Well, that was the beginning of the season, and obviously there's definitely been a shift in the way we played. I always thought we got the ball down quite well, to be fair, and I thought we did it as Spencer alluded to. We do quite a lot of stuff quite well, so we mix it up a little bit, which is really good, because some teams have only got one way of playing. Like Worthing will tomorrow night. They'll just get the ball down and pass you to death. But we can do that, but we can also play it a bit more direct as well. And I think that's really good, because you need to have more than one plan, don't you?
Yeah, because you're playing against different teams, different systems and styles on a weekly basis. And obviously, when you got throws like Robbo and Guy, that's a dangerous weapon. But I think sometimes if you're, and I said this at the time, so I'm not talking out of turn. I felt before the Hemel game, I think we'd had I can't remember what the results were before that, but I think a couple of performances from a footballing point of view, and the one that really got my goat was the Walton game in the FA Cup. Obviously, you're disappointed about the result, but listen, that's the cup, and that happens, and anyone can knock anyone out in a day, and Farnborough have beaten teams higher than them before, so you have to accept that that's part of it. But I think my anger on the day of that particular performance, although the fact we were absolutely appalling, was we played a step-free side who played us off the park by trying to play. We didn't do anything. We didn't even play long well. There was no, and I take that quite personally as a coach, because I pride myself on the training I do, what we work on. Listen, unfortunately, we only get one night a week, and you do well to get an hour and a half, so it's very difficult to cram a lot in. But we did sit down as a management group after that and speak and say that I felt that we had to try and get it down a bit more to play to our strengths with certain players, because I felt that we'd come a little bit predictable. That the way I try and look at football sometimes is, when you look at your own team, I always think, what would the opposition say about Farnborough? What would they do? And I felt until then it would be Farnborough really hard to beat, really strong, really physical, don't get it down a lot. Guy Hollis has got the longest throw you'll ever see. Now, from an opposition point of view, then if you can stop that and deal with that, you've got a chance. So I felt my point at the time was, listen, you can still have the long throw. You can still go long. I mean, Jack with his feet is as good as anyone in the distribution is unbelievable. So you can still have them things like Man City have. They play for fun, but they can still smash it 70 yards over the top and get it. And I felt that if we could mix it up a little bit, it would add to us. And it certainly has, but only offensively. It's the other side of it that we do need to get right. And going back to your original point about the size, they're big teams in the league. But what I will counteract that with is some of the goals we've conceded lately. It wouldn't have mattered whether they was 5'8" or 6'12". They've got 3 headers. So if you're the lads know they're marking before the game goes out. So if you get beaten, now listen, if a guy rises above you and gets a great header, sometimes you have to accept that. But on Saturday, their third goal, which is a key goal, it's a free header. That's not acceptable.
No, the Dorking goal was a free header as well. They're the one they got right before half time. That was a free header. I mean, it was a good header, but but he was on his own, wasn't he? So
how key a goal was that again?
Yeah, exactly.
Always going 2-0 up.
Yeah. You know what? It's when that went in. Yeah, well, me and Alan sat together and we thought when they scored that, I thought that's going to change the game massively now because you've got Dorking going in with their tails up. Mark White's team talk would have been totally different. It would have been 2-0.
Well, even Spencer's team talk at halftime would have had to have changed slightly because it's a massive difference going in 2-0 up than 2-1 up.
Yeah.
So both team talks would have changed.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, it's funny you hear it over the years of so many clubs saying 2-0 is a dangerous score. That's a load of bollocks because you want to be 2-0 up, but the mentality shift when I've always said, like, if you're 2-0 down and you nick a goal, the game changes. It always, I don't know what it just does. And if you look at, like, for example, those like Saturday we're 3-2 up, that goal makes it 3-3. Then either side could have won it, but then their tails are up, they're flying. They're top of the league, so they think they're going to win the game, and they did. And as you said, the Dorking game was exactly the same. You don't concede that, you're going 2-0. And then what you do, you come out nice and slow, second half, slow the game down, maybe don't allow them to get that momentum going. And listen, we don't know if we would have won it anyway. We don't know. But we gave them a chance to get back in the game. And unfortunately, we've done it too many times lately. Yeah.
But that sort of brings me on to the point, because obviously Simon touched on it a bit earlier with some fans with a bit of discontent. And you're no stranger to being social media and being sort of vocal on social media about certain subjects. I asked this to Aaron Cool last week on last week's episode. Do you see some of the things that some of the Farnborough fans have been saying about online about our games or not?
No, I don't go on forums.
I'm not talking about like forums. I'm talking like if like so the club will post obviously the score of the game, the final score, and then also you get fans commenting underneath or retweeting with a comment. Stuff like that.
I might see the odd one, but in fairness, even when I managed, I didn't look through the comments too much, and I'm not being disrespectful. The reason I never looked at, but I wasn't a hypocrite, because if we won, I didn't look at them. So there's a lot of managers out there or coaches that when they win, they like everyone's tweet and thanks ever so much. When they lose and they're told they're crap, they don't look at any of them. I don't listen. You're going to get, everyone's entitled to an opinion, and as long as it's not abusive or it's personal. If you paid your money to go and watch and you support Farnborough, and the one thing I will say, in my time at Farnborough, we've got real positive support. Even in games where we've done very well, you don't hear a lot of negativity in the stands. You don't hear horrible things being said to players and things like that. And I've witnessed that at other clubs, not very nice. And so I'm not really, fortunately, I've not experienced that at all at Farnborough, albeit this year, from January onwards, it's been pretty positive and good. But yeah, you see the odd comment on there, but I've not seen anything that I thought, oh Christ, that's really out of order. I totally disagree with that. I might not think it's someone else's opinion.
Yeah, I think you're right, Steve. The vast majority of the fans at Farnborough are really respectful fans, and I think it comes from think a lot of them know where the clubs come from and where the club's going to, and it's quite. I think on the way things are going this season, certainly, I think it's that we're doing quite well, and people are realistic. Whereas you get some fans, we now have see a lot of comments online, to be fair, and we have responded to a few, and some of them are they're just a bit pissy and moany. You know what I mean? It's just like, we have to remind people, well done. The club went bust, only less than 15 years ago. You know what I mean? So it's like, so we've come a long way, and we only got promoted, into this league. This is our third season in this league, and we should have made the playoffs last season. We're a bit unlucky, and look at it, we're sixth in the league, and we're basically 3 points off second place. It's not bad.
It's not a disaster, is it?
No,
exactly. Yeah. And that was kind of my point, really, because the last few weeks, yes, results, even though when we've been losing, results around us have been going our way as well. So we've not actually dropped that many places, and we're still in the playoff places. And like Simon said, we sort of had to sort of remind fans of what the club is, and where we are in terms of finances. We've got a fairly small squad, so we don't. Spencer's alluded on numerous occasions that budget-wise, he's not able to add to it, and the fact that he said quite a few times the fact that we are overachieving in this league compared to what our squad size and what our budget size is compared to other teams in the league.
Yeah, I mean, I think it feels a little bit negative at the moment because of a couple of disappointing results. Like, obviously, Dorking, we're gutted because we should have won the game, I felt, on the day. Bournemouth, we could easily have got something out of Bournemouth. Should have had a Stonewall penalty, but listen, that's life. These things happen. And Saturday, worst case, we should have got a draw. So, and in between, you go out against Salisbury in the trophy. So you feel a little bit of negativity because everyone's disappointed. But like, I was talking to Bakes the other day about it, and he's the same as me. He's like, look at where we are in the league. We're in a really good position. All right, it's early doors, but Christ, you'd rather be up there where we are than down the other end. I've had that for a few years down the other end, and trust me, that's a totally different kind of pressure. It's horrible.
Exactly.
We're in a good position. We've got a good side, and even though, like I mentioned before, obviously the things that we're disappointed about, there ain't a lot wrong.
No, dead right.
A couple of tweaks, and I know Spencer's working probably every minute of every day to add to the squad because we probably, in my own opinion, I think we probably need to add 2 players to the squad. It's very easy for me to say that because I ain't got to sign them, I ain't got to pay them. But we're in good nick, and we're not playing badly. We've had a couple of bad results, but we're not playing badly.
And I think that's what you just said there is what fans need to sort of remember. That's the important thing. We're not playing badly, and we are in a really good position.
Yeah.
If you think where we were this time last year, we were sort of looking over our shoulders a bit around Christmas time, and I certainly was anyway. I was thinking, I think we'd lost 3 games on the trot at that point, and I was looking down, thinking, what, we're only 5 points off the relegation zone. If we could get sucked in, if we're a bit.
So you're right. I think it was before we played Dartford at home.
Yeah.
We were about 4 points off the bottom 4.
Yeah.
And I remember at the time it wasn't overly enjoyable for a few weeks because it was like you could go one way or the other. And we beat Dartford, and after that, didn't look back.
Exactly. Yeah, that was a catalyst really for our strong run. I mean, that Dartford game was, I have to say, was a bit. It was a bit like one for the purists, wasn't it? For quite a lot of it. It was a bit. It was yeah. Right, it was awful. It was shit. But at the end of the day, we got the result, didn't we? I think who was it? Miller? Did Miller score or someone come on? I think Miller come on, changed it around a bit, and I think Reggie might have scored.
2-0.
Bradbury did he score? I think he might have done, didn't he? Did he score? I think he might have done. Tyler Harvey Bradbury might have come on and scored. It was shit, and it was an horrible old day as well. It was just one of them games. I thought to myself, do I really want to come? Do I really want to attend this game? And I thought, do you know what? I've got nothing better to do.
I think Harvey did score because I think he did a bit of his housery afterwards.
That's right. Yeah. And I think he's didn't he? Wasn't it going in or something? And he touched it in, and Reggie was trying to claim it or something. It was one of them. I couldn't remember because I was going bananas in the PRE bit, and I didn't really see what happened afterwards. But everybody was wheeling away. So it was one of them. Yeah. So yeah, like I said, it was like I'd rather be in a position we're in now than I was at that time, because it was the pressure was starting to get to mount a little bit, wasn't it? And then,
Listen, we're in a good position. I think we've got a much better team this year than we had last year. We're playing a better football. Couple of tweaks, tighten ourselves up at the back, and also, I know it's a cliche, but you got to have a little bit of luck in football sometimes. And
yes, of course,
during the current spell, as I said, Boreham Wood, as blatant as a handball, based on the new rule. I don't know if you guys have seen it back on the video.
No,
I'll send it to you.
No.
It is honestly, the referee couldn't have been any closer. The best view, and you only had to see their players' body language to know it was a penalty.
Yeah.
That makes the game 2-2. And at that time, we were all over them. That could change the game. And Saturday,
Miller got taken out, didn't he?
Honestly, mate, he just even when I looked at the fourth official, he just didn't even know what to say. And even their manager going at half time, because their manager was suspended and he was on the other side.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he said definite penalty.
Yeah.
You asked Miller's is an honest kid. And he said, honestly, mate, he said he didn't touch the ball.
Yeah.
And we're 70 yards away, and obviously we all shout penalty like we all do. We all think it's a penalty.
Yeah.
But you sometimes on a pitch, you've only got to look at the reaction of the opposing players and know if it was or wasn't.
Yeah.
And they just stopped.
Yeah, but see, I've had this conversation a lot, because I've refereed a few games quite a while ago now. But I was always told, and I've took it on board, that if you can't make the decision up, just give yourself a bit of time, give yourself 2 or 3 seconds. You don't have to make a decision straight away, and just look at the players, at the player reactions. That tells a story every time. And I see it a lot even in Premier League, any level. If the referee just, instead of like waving player on after half a second and getting on with it, just wait and wait and wait. You don't have to. You've got lots of time. You don't have to make a decision straight away. But what you need to do is make the right decision. And no one will give a monkeys if you takes you 5 seconds to do it, or the ball's got kicked up play and you're still thinking about it. Just bring it back. But there's a lot of that going on. I think a lot of referees, they're kind of like they're under pressure to make a decision like immediately to get the game flowing, and then they make wrong decisions all the time. Or to give even something silly like a throw in. You know what I mean? When it's an obvious mistake. Instead of giving themselves a couple of seconds and just looking at the linesman and then looking at their players, just give yourself that time and then make the right decision. Because then you'll get the odd idiot who'll say, "Oh, bloody hell!" But then they'll say, "Actually, you got it right." So then they all shut up.
Well, that's what was frustrating about those 2 decisions, because things happen in the box, and we'll claim a penalty, and then you might go in and go, "Was it? Wasn't? Don't know." You could, but certain decisions you can think, all right, he ain't give it. I can see that. But these 2, honestly, they were ridiculous. I mean, unless you see them, I can't describe to you how obvious they were. And so when I go back to like what I was saying, you're talking about a little bit of luck. That's 2 big decisions that have gone against us in games. Yeah. And even their winner Saturday, it's gone wide. The guy smashed it across the box. I think he's hit a couple of people, and it's bounced to their bloke turning on the line. When you're on a good run, it goes straight to JT's hands. So
exactly.
Yeah.
So basically, what you're saying, Bate, there's nothing wrong with the team. It's just we're just out of luck. That's what it is. That's the problem.
A little bit of bad luck. Sort the set pieces out, which is down to the coaching staff, apparently. But no, we're in a good position, and lots to be positive about.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. Right. Let's talk about you a bit more then, shall we? Let's go back to when you were playing. Let's go through who you play for, some of your teams.
I'll go through it briefly from a playing career point of view. Unfortunately, my career was ended quite early through injury. But before my injury, I was on a path or had a good young career, and was hopefully going to go on to have an even better career. But like most lads, played Sunday football, district football, county football, London FA, Sunday team, playing probably 5-6 games a week. And I was playing in a game when I was 10, and there was a Tottenham scout there. And approached from mum and dad after the game, and cut a long story short, I signed for Tottenham, and I was there for nearly 6 years.
Oh, wow.
Up to the age of 16. And this was back in the day then when they offered, when you used to get the apprenticeships.
Yeah, the YTS apprenticeships, great stuff.
YTS, $29.99 a month, I think it was, from the government we used to get.
Yeah, great stuff.
And they'd offered a few apprenticeships out of Tottenham, and there was one space left, which I thought I'd got.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget it. I can remember it like yesterday. My dad got called into a room on our last training night, and he come out and said, "You haven't got it," and they'd signed Nick Barmby.
Oh God, really?
So I've got no argument at all.
You must be gutted. He was rubbish, wasn't he?
Yeah, he had a crack to him. Yeah, and he was at the Centre of Excellence at Lilleshall for England at the time, but hadn't signed with the club. And all the top clubs were after him, and there was me thinking I'd got it, and they signed him. So that was my last training session. I left there and then spent about 7 or 8 months at Chelsea on a sort of non-contract apprenticeship because they'd already filled the allocated spaces. And my dad was a Chelsea fanatic, but I hated it there. This was back in the day where the way you were treated by certain members of staff was appalling. And not from a football point of view, but how you were treated as individuals. And there was a few things going on which I wouldn't talk about on here. Nothing too, you know what I mean? But
not the sort of standards you'd expect these days, Steve. Yeah.
Well, you wouldn't get the standards these days. People wouldn't be in jobs, put it that way. And I remember my dad saying to me one day, he said, "You're not happy," and I didn't want to leave because he was Chelsea through and through.
Yeah.
And it so happened that when I'd left Tottenham, my coach at Tottenham had also left at the same time, and he'd taken up director of youth football at Brentford. A guy called Joe Gadsden, who was a top player and an unbelievable coach. And he'd spoke to my dad, and a week later I'd signed for Brentford and went there on a 2-year YTS. I loved it. We had 2 great years there, but this was back in the day where you'd train in the morning and then you'd be cleaning the stands, cleaning the booths, cleaning the toilets, working on the turnstiles. But I wouldn't change it for the world. It was 2 brilliant years there. And unfortunately, towards the end of my second year, I suffered a really bad ankle injury, and I didn't play again, and I didn't get up for the pro. Which, if I'm honest, I think even if I'd not got the injury, I don't think I would have got a pro anyway. I don't think I was ready, age-wise, physically, and whatever to get an opportunity. Because this was back in the day where there was no like academy 21s and 23s. It was to reserve football in the Capital League, playing against top pros. So I probably wasn't ready for that anyway, and then dropped out. And I'd lived in Hayes all my life, and this was before Hayes and Yedding had merged. So I lived 2 minutes from Hayes' ground. I used to watch Hayes all the time and loved it there, and knew a couple of people at the club and got an opportunity to go in there. And then I had 5 years at Hayes, which was probably apart from the injury I got, it was the best 5 years of enjoyment of football I ever had. And this was halfway through. Terry Brown came in halfway through to take over as manager.
Yeah, ex-Aldershot,
Yeah, Aldershot, AFC Wimbledon. Unbelievable manager, but more of an unbelievable bloke as well. I think when he took over, we were down the bottom. We finished 13th, and the following year, I think we finished 3rd. And then I think it was his 3rd season. And when you talk about budgets and things like that, we had no right to get anywhere near that league. Now, this was obviously the leagues have changed over this, but this was step 2 at the time.
Right.
So it was Ryman Premier, but then it was back to the National League. There was no North and South, so it was step 2. And I remember at Christmas time we were struggling a little bit. We were 13th in the league, and Brownie got us all in and gave us all a massive bollocking, and said, "Look, I believe that we can still challenge." 26 games later, unbeaten. We go in. This will never happen again at any other level. I'll get goosebumps when I talk about it. We went to Carl Shorten away last game of the season. We could win the league. Enfield could win the league. I think Boreham Wood could win it, and Yeovil, all on the last day.
Wow.
We won it by a goal.
Oh my God.
Honestly, mate, it was like Roy the Rovers. And this was back in the day, hardly anyone had a mobile phone.
Yeah.
So we went to Carl Shorten, won 3-0. The 3rd goal was, if any goal was meant to win the league, it was that one.
Yeah.
And the game finished, and everyone went, "What's happening? Anyone know?"
Yeah.
Not a clue. Yeah.
Our assistant manager, Willie Wordsworth, who's a great lad, Willie was one of them. He had a few quid, he had all the gear, and I think he was the only one that had a mobile phone. And he come out the stand like Dom Jolly. Biggest mobile phone you've ever seen.
The old phone jacker, yeah.
Hello, yeah. And he went, we've won the league. And honestly, mate, we partied for days. Then we went to we had a week in Spain with the boys, and we got promoted up to the National League, which was a really strong. I mean, it's a strong league now, but that was a tough old league in them days. And
what were the type of teams who were in the National League at that time, like Kidderminster Harriers and sort of teams like that?
Yeah, Kidderminster were in it, Woking were in it, Stalybridge Celtic.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think Morecambe were in it.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason I can remember the names, I'm thinking of the nights out we had. So there was sort of a couple up Liverpool way, and a couple in Manchester, Greenwich, Victoria.
Northwich. Yeah, Northwich. Yeah. You got probably Runcorn in there as well.
Yeah, I think Runcorn were in it. A lot of Northern. I think Halifax might have been in it, or I think they might have got out of it the first year we got up. I think possibly, but there was a lot of strong Northern teams in it. And
but what about Wickham Wanderers? Are they in it as well? Wickham?
No,
they'd already gone in.
I think Wickham might have gone in a couple of years before. This was back in. This would have been 1995, 96.
Oh yeah. That was so just after that'd be just after the old. Well, a lot of people remember the GM Vauxhall conference, don't they?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. I remember. Like teams like. Oh god, yeah. There's loads, isn't there? There's loads of absolute proper non-league stalwarts. Yeah, real tough.
Yeah, there was. It was honestly, it was. I mean, going back to what I was going to say, when we got promoted that year, was the hardest I ever trained to get fit, because I'd been a little bit in and out of the side, and I think I suffered a little bit from coming out of full-time football, going to non-league football, thinking it will be easy, still going out with my mates all the time, and not on a Friday night, to be fair, but I like to night out, and all of a sudden a year later it catches up with you. And so that year, I remember Terry and a couple of players had said, listen, you need to really go away and get fit. Come back, the fittest I've ever been. Played in every pre-season, was flying. And then the week before the season started, we played, I think, Swindon Town in the pre-season friendly, and 20 minutes in, I ruptured my ACL.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the problem I had, the first two operations, it wasn't diagnosed as a torn ACL. I had really poor surgery, and I was told it was cartilage, and I was told it was something else. So first one was 3 months rehab. First game back, it went again. Second one was 7 months rehab. First game back, it went again. And then I finally went in to see a private surgeon, and he basically said, you've got no cruciate ligament left. It's completely ruptured. So I had a year out, and then it took a year to get back up to speed. And I've got to be honest, by then I'd had nearly 3.5 years out of playing.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't get back to the level I was at. And then I sort of got a little bit disillusioned with it, and I dropped down and started playing a little bit of sort of what would be now, I guess, step 4, step 5 football. And I never really enjoyed it again.
No.
And then,
how old were you at this point?
When I originally done it, I was 22.
Yeah.
And then sort of by the time I was back playing at half decent level, sort of 25, coming on 26. Yeah. And then I had a year at Yedding. This was, again, before they merged. And I was starting to get back to, I thought I had half a chance to get to a decent level again. And I struggled on going with injuries all the time, really. And it was difficult getting fit and access to what the lads get now for treatment and fitness. And back in them days was a world apart. I then sort of dropped down a little bit and was still playing and doing okay. But I sort of lost the love for the game, really, because of my injuries, and I didn't enjoy it because I couldn't get back to what I was. I was a decent player before, and then if I played on a Saturday, I was struggling to walk for 2 or 3 days, and it was funny enough. That's what led me into getting into coaching, really, because I went to Chertsey, had a few years at Chertsey, and had a great time there, and sort of went into a player coach role. and
Okay.
I started to play less and coach more. And that was probably because I wasn't playing that well, and I was probably better on the coaching side, and I wasn't having much effect on the team anymore. And then I sort of fell in. That was when I first sort of got into the coaching side of it, really. So, yeah, playing career, 1 minute was really high, and then it disappeared. And sort of, then you either think I'm going to step away and not play and not be involved in it. But I'd always had a bit of an inkling that I wanted to maybe go on and coach. But I think the fact that I couldn't achieve what I wanted to as a player, my sort of next aim was then, right, let's try the other route, really. And that's when the next lot started.
Yeah. Do you when you talked about your knee injury? Obviously, we had Aaron on last on Wednesday in our previous episode. And he's obviously had a similar sort of issue with his knee. And having we've got basically a bit of poor surgery or poor advice, should I say, before surgery, and he had to obviously have it redone as well. So, have you sat down with Aaron at all since he signed and talked to him about it, or is it something you want to just put behind him?
No, he's never mentioned it, to be fair. And I think there's a little bit of a story behind Cooley's one, because I think he was at Reading at the time, and it's sort of rumoured that he had an opportunity of a big move, and
Man City or something, isn't it?
That's the rumour I've heard. But
it's
almost one of them you don't really want to ask him about.
Yeah, we were going to ask him.
We didn't really ask him either, did we?
Well, we were going to, but he said, "I don't want to talk about it. It's you'll make me cry." So,
do you know what? I played golf with someone who knows him really well, and someone had told me that story a couple of years ago. But you know what football's like with stories. We all had a bit of them.
Yeah.
You sort of think, was it what it sounded like? And you don't know. But then Cooley signed for us last year, and he's the nicest lad in the changing room. There's nothing about him that you can't dislike. Do you know what I mean? He's such a nice lad. He's a brilliant footballer. He gives everything, and he's never down. He's upbeat. He trains well. He plays well. But when I heard that, I almost didn't want to ask him, because I thought, if that's true, I think if that happened to me, that would be like winning the lottery and you lost the ticket, and everyone keeps asking you. At some point, can I swear on it?
Yeah.
No, because at some point I'd want to say, "Fuck off! Don't kick off at the lottery ticket." So it's sort of something that I've never really, and I've never heard anyone mention it in the changing room. So I think everyone knows, but it's like, just let him deal with that one himself. And I think if he wants to talk about it, he'll tell you. But just quickly, when you talk about shit surgery, just quick rolling back to that quickly, this shows you the level of surgeon I had on my first operation. I thought I'd done a cruciate, so I went in for the operation on a Thursday, and surgeon woke me up, and I'm sitting there fearing the worst. And he said, "Oh, it's really, really good news." He said, "It's not your cruciate." I went, "Oh, fantastic." I said, "What about playing?" He said, "Well, I wouldn't play Saturday." I said, "I'd give it a couple of weeks." This was a guy that had just, Christ knows what, I don't even know if he got the right knee.
Is he getting hold of the X-ray and moving it up and down? Is that what I meant?
It does make me wonder, and unfortunately, he did the second one as well. And it wasn't until I saw someone who, the guy that actually rebuilt my knee was the same guy that did Paul Gascoigne's ACL.
Oh right.
He did his.
So you know you got a good one there then.
Well, funnily enough, when I was at Tottenham, when I was 14, I'd done my cartilage, which is quite unusual for a 14-year-old to do a cartilage. Maybe I think that's historically where a lot of my issues probably started, with weakness with my knee.
Right.
But back in them days, like I said, you were playing 5 games a week, training twice a night, in between kicking about with your mates, so probably a little bit of wear and tear. But when I went into, so I had a link with him from Tottenham because he'd done my original operation, and then when I went in to see him, he just looked at me, did one move on my knee, and went. And then he looked at the notes of the previous surgeon, and he started to tell me a few things. And he said, "Could I?" And I said, "Could I sue him?" He went, "No." He said, "Not one surgeon will stand up in court and say that you've done it wrong."
No, that's true.
Really?
So no, I didn't get anything out of that, unfortunately.
But they would though, wouldn't they? These guys, they'll stand at you blue in the face and tell him you told him the wrong information or anything like that. Anything to get out of it, they just won't never admit it, would they?
Do they call it the? I'm going to get these words wrong now. Is it what's the oath they call it?
Oh yeah, a patient client oath or whatever it is or something.
No, it's like a doctor's one where they,
it's like a doctor's. Oh yeah. I think I know what I know what you mean. I don't know what it's called, but I know what you mean. Yeah, it's like it's like an
I was
oath.
going to
Yeah.
say hypocritical, which actually probably would have been quite spot on, but I know it's not that word.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like a bit. He actually said to me in the room, there is a bit of an agreement between surgeons and doctors that you don't go against each other in court because you never know when it might come back to you.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So these things happen, I guess.
Yeah,
it's not good for the patients, though, is it?
No, certainly wasn't for me. That's for sure.
No. So you had so you went to church. So I know you spent. Most people might know this, but you spent quite a lot of your managerial time with that at Farnborough, haven't you? You spent quite a while there, didn't you, as manager?
Yeah. I mean, previous to that, I'll just touch on briefly. Like I said, Chertsey was the sort of start of my journey, and then funny enough, that's when I first met Spencer.
I was going to say he was there, wasn't he? Yeah,
I was going to say, yeah, he was at Chelsea, wasn't he?
Yeah. He come in as chairman. I was assistant to the manager. Then the manager went. Spencer come in for one game. I was there for one game. Then I went. I will add, he didn't sack me. It was my decision. But the guy who was the previous manager was a good friend of mine. So it wasn't the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And so then I went and did a little bit of coaching at Egham for a very, very brief period. And then about 2 months later, they offered me the job there. And I spent 2.5 seasons at Egham, which was the first 2 years was brilliant. The last few months wasn't overly enjoyable, but that's football. We were doing okay, to be fair, but Chairman Pat, who I'd still speak to, didn't agree at the time, but there you go. These things happen.
He's still speaking, so it can't have been too bad.
Yeah. I actually think he forgot to sack me because he rang me a while back about something. So I did remind him that he had sacked me before, but no. Listen, I'll speak highly of Egham. I had a really good time there, lovely people, and they gave me my first job. So I'm not one. Listen, when we get sacked, we all have disagreements, and ultimately it was Pat's club. He gave me the job. I was grateful for that. He sacked me. I weren't grateful for that, but it is what it is. You get on with it, and So I had a good couple of years there. Brilliant learning curve. I had a good group. And then I was sort of in between what I was going to do, and then I had an opportunity with a guy called Byron Walton, who was the manager at Beaconsfield at the time. And I'd played for Byron at Egham previously, and Byron had played for Hayes and Wickham over the year. Was a great forward, and he's a really good friend of mine now. And he said, "I'd fancy coming in and doing some coaching." And there was a guy there who was the first team coach, Peter Scott, who is now the academy head coach at. Sorry, can you hear that?
Yeah.
Sorry, that's my sister trying to ring my mum on my mum's computer that I'm on. Brilliant. I'm only 50. Brilliant.
Yeah, so we like a bit of a musical interlude halfway through. As you've timed that very well, Steve. Actually,
that's the adverts covered.
Yeah, top man.
So Byron had asked me about going in and doing a little bit, and I said, "Well, you've already got a first team coach there." It was a guy called Peter Scott, who's the head of the Reading Academy.
Yeah.
And before that, he was at Wickham at the time. I think as a pro, he played 500 games with Fulham. And a couple of people had said to me how good a coach he was. So I actually said to Byron, because Byron said, "Oh, do you want to come in?" He said, "I've already got a coach." I said, "I want to learn." And I'd heard so many good things about Scotty. And I spent the season with him and Byron. We got to the playoffs that year, which was a great year. As a coach, what a coach. I learned, he's probably the most I've ever learned of one coach without him trying to teach me anything.
Yeah.
Just by watching him on the side, listening to him, his training, his drills. Brilliant coach. Then he left after that because of his commitments at Wickham. And then by the following season, we started quite well, but because of Byron's work, he resigned, and I took over for about 3 games. I took over for 4 games. We won 3, and then I got sacked. So that was a bit of a strange one. But I think there was a couple of people on the board that wanted someone else to get the job, so it was what it was. To be fair,
yeah.
And then all of a sudden, again, you're in that position of I want to try and get back in. So I am leading to Harrow, but it was quite a strange build up to get there. And then I then got Gary Meakin, who you'd probably know for various jobs in football.
Beaconsfield, is he at?
Yeah, Gary had a couple of years at Beaconsfield, got promoted.
Wasn't he the one, Simon? Wasn't he the one that went to Rayners Lane as well?
Yeah,
he was
Lane.
Rayners Lane after Beaconsfield.
Yeah.
He was at Burnham for a brief period, but I think Norfolk prior to that, and then he went at Wingate and Finchley. And we had sort of mutual friends, and he rang me, said I need a first team coach. So I went to Wingate for about 6 or 7 months, which was, again, it was a good experience. First time I'd coached at that level. It was a tough job for various reasons, but again, it was a good experience. Gary got let go at the end of the season, which meant I was always going to go as well. And then again, I was without a job. And then totally out of the blue, someone told me the Walton and Hersham job come up. And I was told I sort of had no chance of getting an interview because of experience, and based on my CV, I wouldn't get an interview. So I worked in sales for about 20 odd years. So I thought I'd take the chance. I got through to the chairman on the phone. Basically, I rang up and said, it's Steve calling from Wingate and Finchley. So he took the phone call. And then I had a conversation, managed to sell myself a little bit, and then got offered the job there about 3 or 4 weeks later.
Yeah.
The previous year, the club had stayed up by a point. This was at step 4 at the time. He cut the budget by 50%. And I took over at the start of the season. We had to completely overhaul the squad, whole new set of players. And we did fantastic. We had a great start. We had a great real good squad, really nice supporters. It was a good club, good football history as well. The chairman, without a guy called Alan Smith, and without a shadow of a doubt, is the worst chairman I've ever worked for, will ever work for, and is the worst chairman that football's ever known. And I'll happily say that on here as well. Everyone else at the club was brilliant. And I think I got sucked in a little bit because I think for the first 3 weeks of the season he was away. So I was only dealing with his son, who was a really nice bloke, and another guy, Paul Martin Jones, who was director of football. They were brilliant. And I thought, this is a great job. And then he come back. It started 1 call a week, and it ended up 1 call every day. And it was just, the job becoming untenable in the end. And I did get sacked. I resigned. So I left there. Following day, I got a call from Chipstead, who were in the same league. Their chairman was the complete opposite. He was a bit of a Del boy, but he was a great lad, Mick. And he rang me up and said, "I've seen you've left Walton." He said, "Fancy meeting me for coffee?" And I think about 4 hours later, I was in at Chipstead. And Chipstead was brilliant. Predominantly, I was always getting jobs with teams that were down the bottom.
Yeah,
that's only when you do get a job when you haven't got much of a history. And went in at Chipstead, who looked like they were going to go down, and we had an unbelievable run, stayed up with a great season. Following season, we had a really, really good start, and it was going well. A little bit of a blip, which would be expected. I mean, budget-wise, what we had was basically had no money. It was a lovely, lovely football club, but where it had come from being a village club to all of a sudden a step 4 football club. I financially didn't really have the resources, but it was a great job. We had some good players there who went on to have half decent careers, and then all of a sudden the Farnborough job was come up, and the previous manager who was leaving, Dave Anderson, who was AFC Wimbledon's old manager, and Hendon as well, and Dave was a really good mate of mine, and he said, "Would you be interested?" And again, I thought, no way I'm getting a Harrow job, because I'd heard of some of the people that were getting it, and he helped me get in the door to get an interview, and fortunately I interviewed really, really well. And then 8 years later, 501 games. I left a couple of years ago, and great club, best chairman I've ever worked for. Peter, lovely, lovely bloke. Was no different if you lost 4-0 or won 4-0. Don't think it was a tough job. Every year in that league, I'd say we probably, I know we had a bottom 4 budget. But we produce really good teams, really good players. But you know what it's like, every time you produce good players, someone comes along and takes them. Start again, and it was tough. And I'd always said to them, eventually it will catch up on us. And it did. In my last season there, We finished fourth from bottom last day of the season, relegated on goal difference. But funnily enough, because of the points tally, the club got reprieved. So this is a relegation on my CV. I've got no shame of that because I did a good job there for 8 years. But we had some really good times. We had some good league finishes. Best memories were the FA Cup runs. My third year there, we got through to the first round against Northampton, which was great. But I didn't, because it was the first time I'd done it and probably lack of experience, I didn't really enjoy the experience as much as I should have. And unfortunately, on the day, we lost 6-0 at Northampton. We played quite well, to be fair, 2-0 at half time. And in the end, they ran all over us second half, which you'd expect. And then the best moment was my second but last year there. We got through to the first round and drew Portsmouth away at Fratton Park.
Nice.
Which was, the cut run was brilliant. We knocked out 2 Conference South sides. I think we'd won 15 games on the spin, including the FA Cup. And just, it's like when you go on a good run, everything goes right.
Yeah.
And, I remember I was sitting there on the Sunday watching the draw, and I was sitting there with my wife and my girls, and it was like, who do you want to get? And at the time, League One was like unbelievable. There was Portsmouth, Sunderland, Wigan, Bolton.
Massive teams.
Who do you want to get? I said, Portsmouth. It's only down the road. Literally 30 seconds later, we got the draw at Portsmouth.
Yeah, fantastic.
So, but the one thing I'd said to myself was, if I ever got that opportunity again, I'd enjoy it. And
I was going to say, were you able to enjoy it this second time round?
Honestly, I enjoyed every bit of it, like whether it was media, TV stuff, radio stuff. I did talk sport all the time, which was good on the day of the match, but just really enjoyed it. And on the day, we went out in front of 8,500 people, and we lost 1-0.
Wow!
And at the time, I think they were about 78 places above us.
Yeah.
And to this day, we
worried about you, Steve.
And like you guys have probably never would have seen it, but the only frustrating thing was on the day in the first half, their goalkeeper handled the ball outside the box on 2 occasions. He slid out and balled it, and then pulled the ball back in with his hands. And every time you see it was a straight red card. Nothing. And they showed it on Match of the Day that night. And when you see it, you're like, oh God, if only.
It's going to be different.
Could have got a replay. But listen, I had brilliant 8 years, tough 8 years. Don't get me wrong, but I learned a lot about myself and football in that. And I thought I'd had a tough year away from football that year, with a few personal issues and bits and pieces, and I was struggling in the last year with management. I was really stressed, and I told the club very early in the year that it was going to be my last year. I felt I needed a break from football, and I said, but I wouldn't walk away. I'd see my contract out to see the season out, and then we finished, and I was going to take a complete break, and then all of a sudden I spoke to Spencer, and here I am, really.
Yeah. You beat me to it there, Steve. I was going to ask you how did that lead to getting you to getting you in at Farnborough. But so did you always fancy coming in as rather coming in as an assistant manager or part of a management team rather than the top job?
Do you know what? It didn't worry me. Some managers got an ego that they've always got to be the manager. The way I looked at it was I decided to take a break from managing, and I'd actually decided to take a break from football. Apart from I do some stuff in Northampton, which I love, and it's non-pressurised. It's really good. So Spencer rang me out of the blue about a player, but like most managers, you get to know over the years. I'd probably speak to Spencer 5 or 6 times a season, and chat about opposition and players, and he was ringing me about a player. So we had a chat about that, and he said, "What are you up to?" I said, "I'm just going to have a break." And he said, "Would you consider coaching?" And I said, "Yeah, depending on what the role is, where it is." And he said, "Because I'm looking for a first-team coach." So we met up and had a coffee, and the only thing I said to him, I said, from a personal point of view, I'd love to come to Farnborough. It's a club I've always liked. It's a great setup. From a selfish point of view, it's an opportunity for me to go and work in a level above and learn that level with no pressure, because as a coach, there's no pressure at all. I don't care what anyone says. First team coach, no pressure. apart from the pressure to make sure training's done properly, the lads enjoy it, things like that. But that's not pressure. You just do what you got to do. And I just said to him, as long as I can have a certain amount of input, I don't expect to pick the team. I don't expect to do what you do. You're the manager. What you say goes. What team you pick, that's what we'll work with. And he said, yeah. And to be fair, he's been good to his word. I have lots of input. I'll always give my opinion. Sometimes he'll listen to it. Sometimes he won't. Or he might take it on board. But he's a manager. Any decision he wants to do with the side, I fully respect, and I'll go out and coach that. And I've really enjoyed it. A bit nervous when I first come in because I know a lot of people in football, and I certainly do, you suffer with this imposter syndrome a little bit. That when you go into a new environment, you start thinking, am I good enough?
Yeah.
And are the players, and the biggest thing is, are the players going to have me? Because you're going into a higher level, ex-pros, better players. So you're going into your first training session thinking, if I fuck this up, I know exactly what they're going to be saying afterwards. Because I've said it as a player about coaches. We all do it.
Yeah.
When it comes to bitchiness, women have got nothing on men in football. I'm telling you, we're murder. But I did know a couple of boys before I come in, like JT and Jack Ball. I knew a couple of them, not very well, but well enough to talk to. And I've come in and I've absolutely loved it. It's professional setup, facilities are great, the club's great. And the one thing I really like about the club, it's a really friendly club. I mean, when I first come in, everyone seemed to know my name. Everyone says hello. Everyone talks to you. And like we said before, even if you're on a bad run with salts, like you go in the bar, people have a chat with you, you're treated nicely, and I've really enjoyed it. And I think I've really, from a personal point of view, it's really helped develop my coaching, my knowledge of players, get to know the level, and I think wherever my next job is, wherever that may be, I mean, I'm not planning to leave Farnborough in any time soon, but I still have a desire to manage again, albeit at the right job at the right time. But this experience has gained me loads of experience working with good people, like working with the staff we got as well. Dave on the goalie coaching side of it is great. Neil Baker, obviously you guys know well. I've known Baker for a long time, but not worked with him. He's fantastic. And you've got Ricky, who's brilliant to work with as a player coach, and we sort of bounce off each other with ideas for training as well. And so far the experience has been good, and just hope we can keep chipping away this year to make it a little bit better. Yeah,
I have to say, Steve, all the players when we spoke to them on here, we've all the players have said, "Oh, Steve's great coach, really good, knows what." Really
liars.
Yeah, we tell them just flatter him for God's sake. You know, we got him on in a few weeks. I don't want to get the ump.
I'm going to watch all them podcasts now.
That's my plan. That's my plan. We need a few more plays. So
it might work out. It's quite nice to hear because we've all got a little bit of an ego. Some bigger than others. I don't have a particularly big ego, but it is, even though you think you're quite good at what you do and you do things well, and you don't know what people are saying sometimes but on the other side, I do try and listen to the boys and with Rick and people like that of what do they want to do? What do they like? Because sometimes all very well what you want to do, you've got to get the best out of them. So it's quite nice when you're back that the lads enjoy what we do, and they like to think I know what I'm talking about. And I said to Bakes at the time when he came on board, the best thing about it is that we're both called Bakes. When we walk past the changing room and I hear fucking Bakes ain't got a clue, it's only a 50-50 chance it's me now.
Both you pointed at each other. He's talking about you. No, he's talking about you.
Whereas before he come, it was definitely me. So that's had its benefits. That's been good.
That's true.
I just want to say as well that you also touched on there saying that the club is like a really friendly club. And I think the club obviously prides itself in being that sort of family friendly sort of club that welcomes everybody and people that work at the club are more than willing to talk to fans and stuff and people like that, and you kind of sort of do personify that. So after the games, like we've spoken to you a number of times after the games in the bar in the Platinum Lounge, and you've always given us a little bit of time to chat and all that, which is we're always really grateful. But especially for someone like me who's a coach, really low level coaching, it's always nice to sort of chat to people like you about what you know and what you and what you can do, what you do in that. And it that sort of is more personified when Torquay came to town, came to the club, and they had their fan who was doing that cycle ride for prostate cancer. Alan, yeah,
Alan Wills, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and he obviously started at the club because obviously they were playing us, and you sort of took it upon yourself to go online to sort of push to his sort of social thing about the cause and helping him sort of raise money, and then you got the players to chip in chip in money as well from the club, and we sort of introduced you to guys. We brought you to guys together in the Platinum Lounge so you can have a little chat and all that. And he was really sort of grateful for everything that you've done on that day for him and for his cause. And so yeah, I think you yourself should be applauded for doing that.
That's nice to hear. But I think you should do. As bad as social media is sometimes, there's a lot of good on it as well. And I think when you see things like that, I mean, that particular one probably sat with me a bit more because I'd lost my dad from cancer a few years before, and I'd done a similar thing. I'd done a bike ride in honour of him for charity and things like that. But also in my time at Harrow, I had two players that one suffered a dislocated kneecap, and another one did his ACL against Halifax in the 5th round of the trophy that we got to. And both of them, I started to GoFundMe for them because one of them was self-employed. The other lad, although he had a job, it was his football knackered. He was looking at 2 years out on waiting lists of NHS. And I think the first one with Dave Taylor, I think he got $5,000 on his GoFundMe. Wow. And James Taylor, we did his. And I've got to say, Halifax Town were unbelievable. They donated between players and club £1,500.
Wow.
And one of their players, who his name's I think Summerfield, who was actually out with a bad injury, he put quite a bit of money in as well. And I think we raised nearly £8,000.
Wow.
And he got his operation done, and then he signed for Chesham last year, and this is his first year back now. He's out on loan at Uxbridge at the moment. So when you sort of see things like that, and then you see someone else put something out there, you think it's going to take me 2 minutes to retweet something, or just lads, everyone stick a tenner in. It all helps, and if you can help a little bit doing it, I think it's something that we all should do because you never know when you're going to need it.
Yeah, exactly. As you said, there's a lot of good, lot of bad stuff goes around on social media, but it can be used as a really good tool to help other people as well, isn't it? So,
definitely.
It just shows you. It shows you how big the football community is, and when stuff like that happens, how everybody in that football community rallies together and does what they can to help these people in their cause.
I don't think there's a better community in this country than non-league football or lower league football when something goes wrong, and you see stuff all the time, and everyone can sort of look at other clubs and think we've been in that position, or we could be in that position, or we've had a player that broke his leg and couldn't work, and so everyone just chips in together, and that's how it should be. It's a shame some of that money right at the top don't work its way down a little bit more.
No,
exactly.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Sort of segueing slightly. What we're going to do, we want to talk to you about your the issues that you've had with you're trying to get your coaching badges or getting on a coaching course. I mean, at the moment, I'm right in saying you're UEFA B qualified, correct? And you want to you've been trying to get on an A course for ages, and you've had a proper struggle. And we know you went on TalkSport a few weeks back to talk about it and raise probably a bit of awareness about the issues currently. Just go into a few details about that and what the struggles you've had.
Yeah, basically, I've been trying to do my A licence. Did my B licence years ago. They tell you to go away for a few years and learn your trade and bits and pieces, and then I felt the time was right to do my A licence. And I didn't think for 1 minute it would be hard to get on because I did my level 2 and my UEFA B through the PFA, who I'm a member of, back from my Brentford days, and I thought, that'll be fine. I'll get on the A licence, no problem. First year, didn't get on it. Second year, didn't get on it. Third year, didn't get on it. So this was my 4th year of applying, and I've basically got everything you need to get on it, but I'm not working at a pro club.
Yeah.
I work part-time at Northampton on scouting and recruitment for London and South East. I had a letter from Northampton saying that, not saying I would get a job with them, but saying there's potentially an opportunity for me to work at Northampton. So you put all of that together, plus what I've done in non-league and where I've been, and I think must have a good chance getting on it.
Mm.
So I got the email back again when they announced it all, same as it is every year. You're on the reserve list. You was a real high quality, but not high enough for what we desire. But they're very, very careful in what they say they desire when we all know what they desire.
Mm.
So out of frustration, I just put something on Twitter saying, pissed off, blah, 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 done X, Y, Z, still can't get on it. And I think a day later it had 1.6 million views and likes, God knows what on it. And it went a bit viral, and there was lots of good communication on it. Fair bit of abuse, but nothing I wasn't expecting. But there you go. That's part of it, I guess. And
take the rough with the smooth,
yeah. It was a lot more smooth, so it didn't bother me.
Yeah.
And had lots of good conversations. Had some real interesting conversations. Some of the things that were sent to me of individuals that got on the A licence course just highlighted that my whole point was right, that it's a closed shop.
Yeah.
I'll give you three examples. There was a guy who was touting all over Twitter about, I got on it last year, I've got my A licence. He was working in non-league, but he got a job in Man City's academy, I think under 9 girls. Now, I'm not belittling girls football or female football before everyone goes mad at me, but because he got that job, he got on the A licence course.
Yeah.
There was another guy who's worked predominantly at Step 3, good coach, always been a coach, not managed. He went in last year at an EFL 2 club who'd just come up doing their under 15s academies, got straight on the A licence course. There's a guy recently who is from Spain, been in this country 4 years. He's at Man City's under 8s or 9s academy, got on the A licence course.
Yeah.
So there's three examples. There's probably another 300 examples out there of it.
Yeah.
And basically off the back of that, I had a lot of communication. And then the club got an email just saying that TalkSport had seen it, did a fancy coming in and doing a little bit. And I just thought it was going to be a quick phone call. And as I said to you guys when after I did it, it was brilliant. I ended up going into TalkSport studios on the Sunday morning show for half an hour with Henry Winter and Des Kelly on the show. And we had Paul Simpson, England under-17s coach, who'd managed England. I think he'd won the World Cup or the Euros with England under-17, so he was on there as well. And it was a brilliant experience. I really enjoyed it. And
I thought for someone of his level, I thought he was quite supportive of you and your struggle.
Yeah. To be fair, he was, because when you go on there, I'm probably like you guys, but I listen to TalkSport about 12 hours a day.
Yeah.
So part of me thinks, I mean, if I'd have been going on there and it was Simon Jordan and Jim White, they might have torn me in the arse. I don't know. But you don't know what the other person's going to say. Not so much the interview, but the other guy might have totally disagreed. So is it going to be a heated debate? But I thought no. I think he seemed to agree with a lot of what I said, and I could agree with what he said. He'd obviously been in the pro game and got that opportunity. I'm not in the pro game, so can't get that opportunity.
Yeah.
And we, like we said on the day on the show, and we're talking about, we've just taken on a German coach for the national job, and Christ, I hope he wins us a World Cup. I don't care where he's from. But I think it's a sad state of affairs. Do you think you'll ever see an Englishman managing Spain or Argentina or Germany?
Exactly.
No, But there's actually a really good stat actually that no one's ever won the World Cup or Euros. No country, has never won a World Cup or Euros having a foreign manager. They've always been the same nationality.
Yes,
I might say that might say a lot. It might just be luck, but it's probably not.
Listen, if as I said, if Tuchel goes and wins it with us, we'll all be delighted. We don't care where he's from.
Yeah,
But
no, exactly. Yeah.
it's a sad state of affairs when you look at Premier League jobs now. I mean, don't get me wrong, the foreign managers that come in here have only developed our game. I think they've made it better tactically of what they do, and I'm certainly not sitting here saying that they're not good coaches. They are. But if you look at the figures in Spain and Germany of how many of them have got A licensed coaches, it is tenfold what we've got. So ultimately, it's a numbers game, and it's an English coach over here could coach a Spanish way of playing. He could coach a German, a French way, a style of playing. Of course, he could. But when there's only a few that have got them qualifications, and all the clubs are owned by foreign owners now, they're not taking on. Look at Steve Cooper yesterday at Leicester.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
11 games.
Yeah,
Madness.
It's ridiculous. And
I mean, he's a brilliant coach. I mean, he was shortlisted for my team, the Chelsea job, and you know. But I mean, like I say, go back to Tommy.
He was even a name touted around for as a potential England manager.
Yeah, he was, because he was England. He won the trophy with England 20s, I think, didn't he?
Youth coach. And he had a great record at Forest. I was fortunate enough to be in Nottingham when they were in the Championship, and he'd just taken over. And there was a massive. I mean, I don't spent any time in Nottingham at all, but it's a massive football city. It really is. You got Forest and County both there. It was just a massive football city, and there's a massive buzz around the city. The whole time I was there for about 6 months, and everybody was talking about the football team because they were on this brilliant run, and Steve Cooper's a fantastic manager, and they're looking really good. Because he took them over when they were like bottom and ended up in the playoffs, and they got up into got up into the Premier League with him, and it was brilliant. And he's a really good manager. But what do you put down to the issue? Because I've got a few opinions, and I've heard a few things since you did your interview. I did a bit of checking around, and there seems to be a lack of actual courses to start with for actual people to go on. That's the first main thing, and you got to ask yourself, why is that? Also, there's a lack of assessors to assess referees and people doing the courses. There just seems to be a general lack of people involved in the FA and doing these courses, actually involved in either running them or assessing them and things like that. Do you put it down to that, or
I mean, I think I've got a couple of views on it, but they sort of coincide with each other, because the FA are the only people allowed to run the course, which I think is total bollocks. Because the FA will say it's FIFA tell us we have to, or UEFA, but in any other industry, you want to get qualifications. Don't get me wrong, you've got to be good enough to do it, and you've got to pay for it. If you want to be a sports coach, a tennis coach, you want to be a plumber, you want to be a lawyer, you can go and get that qualification. You've got to work hard. You still got to be good enough to do it. I'm not saying you should get it because you apply. So you still got to do it all. But the PFA can't do it. The Premier League can't do it. No other football giant company can do it. So they've got total autonomy on it. There's not enough courses. There aren't enough tutors, and not enough people can get on the course. So your pool is so small compared to other countries abroad. Now, again, the FA might come out and say, we do all these courses. They don't. You can only apply once a year for the A licence course. If you don't get on it, you apply next September. Someone was saying to me the other day, that they run 4 A licence courses a year. Well, I don't know where they're running them, because there's only one you can apply for. And it's actually going further down now. A lot of lads I know can't get on the B course again, because and flipping on to that, this is the other side of the problem, and I can see what happens. It's all about getting, if you're in an academy working full time, or you're at a Cat 1 academy working part time coaching kids, they take priority over everybody else, and they will get onto the course. Now, for me, appreciate you've got to have good coaches for good kids, but it's unfair, because a 22-year-old lad who, and a lot of these, whether people like it or not, this is true, a lot of these young coaches in academies now have never played football. Been coaching since the age of, and good luck to them, they might be the best coaches in the world. I'm not saying that doesn't make them any good, but they might have never kicked a ball, but because they're coaching, could be Arsenal under 7s, they'll get on that course before I will. So a 22-year-old lad could have an A licence certificate by the end of next year. I can't get on the course. If I was at a pro club, I probably would get on it. First, you've got to get into a pro club.
Yeah.
And also, it's what do you give up then? Because potentially, if someone said to me the other day, "Oh, you should just go and get into like a Fulham Academy or something like that," I might, but then I have to give my non-league job up.
Yeah.
Probably have to give my Northampton job up.
Yeah.
So you got to wait, and I would probably learn more at another year with Farnborough in the National League South than I would coaching Brentford under sevens.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think you're spot on.
Exactly.
Have you thought about maybe? I've heard a few rumours, whether true or not, I don't know. I've heard a few rumours flying around also on this subject that Scotland is the place to go to try and do an A level, an A grade course, because apparently they're actually physically looking for people. Have you thought about maybe doing that? I know it's a big undertaking for you to do.
It's something I'm looking at the moment. There's a couple of options. There's Northern Ireland and Scotland. I've been looking for the Welsh one, but nothing's come up on that yet. The only issue with it is, say for example, if I got on the Northern Ireland course, I've got to travel to Northern Ireland 3 times.
Yeah.
I've got to fly there. I've got to pay my hotel. I've got my travel, as well as the cost of the course. All of a sudden, that course, by the end of it, might have cost me 8 or 9 grand. I've also got to take off. I'm self-employed. I've got to take 3 weeks off work.
Yeah.
So, although it's feasible to do it, and it's probably the way I'm going to have to do it, but it's not as easy as everyone says. Oh, listen, if I had loads of money, I didn't need to work, I'd go to Scotland and do it. If I get on the course, I'm pretty sure I would. I've been told by a couple of mates who did the Ireland course, said you'll get on the Ireland course, no problem. But it's logistically of weighing it up. And also some of their courses where their dates are, if they fall in the season and I'm, say, working at Farnborough, I've got another job, you can't just go off for a week.
Yeah.
So there's lots of things to it, but I honestly think the only way eventually I will get on it is, well, I'm waiting to hear back from the FA by, I think, the 4th of December. I would be astounded if anyone pulls off that course. If someone did and I got on it, then maybe the TalkSport thing worked. I don't know, but I'm certainly not holding my breath on that one. So,
well, like they say, Steve, there's no such thing as bad publicity, is there? You know what I mean? Unless you're absolutely slating the FA, which you certainly didn't. I actually thought I listened to that. I've made a point of listening to it on my way to my little boy's swimming lesson. I thought you spoke really well, and I thought that all the people on the show were very supportive of the position that you're in, and also and pretty much everybody agreed to the man that there's definitely an issue in football, isn't it?
Yeah,
and it needs looking at.
It's not about slagging the FA off. It's asking a question.
Yeah.
And a question. The frustrating thing, we don't really get the answers to it. It's just like, well, loads of people applied. We can only get so many people on. Oh, right, okay, is that it? And that is it. There's no. Well, what do you do? They don't do anything. And I'm just told something every year. And this year, I just had enough. It pissed me off so much. But as you say, you never know.
It does defy logic a bit, doesn't it? Because obviously these courses are expensive, and obviously they're going to make money out of them. So you think to yourself, well, what if they've got a massive? They must have a demand for people who wanted to get on. The demand is probably tenfold. So why don't they just run more courses? It makes no sense.
Get more courses, get more tutors, get more people in work. You'll make more money because you're doing the courses. And the crucial thing, the most important thing, in 5 years' time, you'll have better coaches. In 10 years' time, you might have an England coach coaching the England team. You might have more than 3 or 4 in the Premier League. Because I said this on the show at the time, and I'm adamant, there are so many good coaches in non-league football that, given the opportunity, I mean, look at the guy that was at Worthing last year.
Yeah. He's at York now, isn't he?
York. Adam, is it? Adam Hinchelwood?
Hinchelwood, yeah.
He did a brilliant job and I quite admire him as a coach because I like the way Worthing played when he was there, and he did a great job. Went to York last year. After a couple of weeks, the fans weren't having him. We don't want to play football like that. They're top of the league now.
Yeah.
He's someone. Listen, I'm sure he's got an A licence. Badge now. Because I think he was an ex-pro. I think he might have been at Brighton as well.
Yeah, he was. Yeah,
youngster. And being an ex-pro can help get you on it, but He could be managing the Premier League in 5 years' time. You don't know.
Yeah, I mean at York as well. I mean he's been quite fortunate there as well, hasn't he? He's obviously gone in. The York board or the owners of York who are quite well off. They've looked at him and thought we want some. This is the type of guy we want. They obviously headhunted him, got him in, and then they've backed him in the market as well. And he's obviously got a couple of Ollie Pearce as well as a really quality striker as well. He's banging them in, and like I said, they're doing really well. It's great to see actually York because they shouldn't be where they are. They should be in the football league again. Really, they're a massive club at that level. It's mental, really, isn't it?
Hopefully they will be under him.
I think they will. Them or Forest Green, I think, are going to be the two who are going to fight out for that top spot. But it's really difficult to get out of the National League, isn't it? Because you only got that one automatic spot, and everybody else in the playoffs down to 7th. It's really difficult. Like Notts County had this, didn't they? When they were in their Wrexham, they should. I mean, they had 100 odd points and didn't go up. Mental, isn't it?
And the playoffs now in that league are ridiculous.
Yeah. Really tough.
I don't agree with all that top 7 and nonsense, and then playoffs.
Yeah. It's the same in the south though, isn't it? And the north, because in our league, because you got down to 7th, but you can then the 7th plays the 4th, and if you come 7th, you've got to play 3 away games to try and go up. But it's almost impossible, isn't it? Especially at that time of the season as well. It's like that was the only sort of caveat I took from us not getting in, because if we'd beat Weymouth, we'd have ended up 7th. And I said to Alan at the time, I said, do you know what? As well as I'm disappointed we didn't get in, it would have been nice, but there's no way we'd have won 3 away games to go up. Absolutely no chance. Not at that stage of the season. No way.
To be fair, I think it was probably the perfect end of the season because we weren't ready to go up anyway.
Yeah, true.
And as you say, I don't think we would have. But listen, playoffs, you never know. We was on a good run, but we weren't ready to go up. Not when you look at that league.
No. I mean, it's a proper tough league, and there's some long old journeys in there, like Gateshead and all that sort of stuff, and. You know, you got Halifax, York. There were long old journeys.
They're all full time as well, aren't they? So it's a full time league. Ultimately, it's Division 3, isn't it?
Yeah. Basically, I actually rate the National League as good, if not better, than League 2. Some of those teams. I mean, there isn't many. You look at it. There's not many teams who get promoted out of the National League and struggle. Look at Stockport. Look at Stockport, for example. They're in League 1 now. I mean, they're just
some that come down do struggle.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. They all struggle. I think they're all mid-table. Some of them go right through. You know, I think it's a really, really, really tough league. And there's some of those northern teams that are gritty. You know what I mean? You don't want to be going up there on a wet Tuesday night, do you? You know.
Funny enough, a couple of weeks ago, I went to watch Sutton and Gateshead on a Tuesday night, and you just look at. I mean, Gateshead won 1-0. Weren't much of a game. To be fair, they were quite good.
Oh, was that the same time I went to Aldershot and watched Southend? Remember, I told you about it, didn't I? Obviously, probably the 2 of the worst games I've ever seen in my life. That Aldershot Southend game, my God, it was terrible. I only saw one shot on target the whole match. It was absolutely appalling.
Yeah, I don't mean that Sutton and Gateshead was far behind you, but like you look at that, and it's like Tuesday night, Sutton away, and they're going back to Gateshead. That's a different league. That is. Yeah,
it is hard. Yeah, bloody hard work. Yeah, I'm actually an advocate for splitting the League 2 and the National League up and making it a regional, because I think the amount of money that you have to end up forking out for coaches, and you have to have a coach really for that, and so you can't have players like Farnborough do. We travel in cars, don't we? You can't have that go all the way up there during the week. It's madness.
I mean, I must admit, last year, this year's a little bit better with who's gone up and who's come in, but like last year, some of the travelling.
Oh yeah, we get proper stitched up with our fixtures last year. Remember Truro on a bank holiday Monday.
Truro bank holiday Monday. Torquay on a Tuesday night.
Yeah, Yeovil Tuesday night.
Yeah, Yeovil was a Tuesday night as well.
It's terrible. Worthing away on the Tuesday. It was
on the Tuesday. Chippenham on a Tuesday.
Yeah, terrible. I remember Spencer's interview. He was going absolutely bananas, wasn't he? I actually looked at it naively and thought, we've done all right here in our fixtures. I rang you up, didn't I? And said, we've done all right in the fixtures here. Because I was purely looking at some of the home games. Oh, that's good. We got Yeovil Yeovil at home on a Saturday, end of February. That'd be good. And then when Spencer went bananas on his interviews, we've been proper stitched up. We're going to complain. Then I looked at it again and thought, fucking hell, we got some terrible away journeys there. And I think this time round, I think we've done quite well, really.
The only shitter we got is I think it's 11th of February. Truro on a Tuesday.
Truro,
and they've now moved back to Truro, which is about another 4 hours further than Plymouth. Oh, that's a horror, that is, mate.
It's a shocker. Did we try and get that game? Did we try and get that game moved to Saturday?
They wouldn't move it.
Unbelievable! That's madness. I mean, I have to say, I have to give a good shout out to Horsham, not Horsham, Horsham. Hornchurch for moving their game in a few weeks' time to our place on the Saturday. I mean, that's just, I mean, yeah, fair play to them. But it's sensible, though, isn't it? Really, I mean, God, you want to play as fewer midweek games as possible, and you have to play them because of the amount of fixtures you've got to get in. But having a bloody away journey on a Tuesday is just
well, you worry as well with someone like Truro, and I've seen it happen so many times that, let's be honest, you know what the weather's going to be like in February.
yeah,
exactly.
Is it going to be on, or is it going to be one of them you're halfway down there and you get the call?
Yeah. That what happened, but even at Blackburn on the weekend, wasn't it? Blackburn Portsmouth at the weekend, it got called off at 11:30. I mean, I said to my sister, I was just going out to pick my little boy up, and they said they called the Blackburn game off and they're playing Portsmouth. And she said, they're playing Portsmouth at Blackburn. She said, yeah, so I know, yeah, all the Portsmouth fans would have left by now. They'd be halfway up there. They'd have all gone all the way up the M3, down the M25, probably halfway up the M1, then get to Toadcock all the way back again.
There was a thing doing the rounds on Twitter yesterday. It was quite funny, actually. It was all the other games Portsmouth fans went to on the way home. It was like 4 of them got tickets for Aston Villa on the day.
Really?
Some other games.
You got to think outside the box, and you say, right, we can't our games off. What can we do? We're halfway up. We might as well do something. Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, great idea.
Good, wasn't it?
Yeah. I went to. I was years ago. My dad, he was always late for everything. I've sort of got his. I've taken that on board as well. I'm always late for everything as well. But I went and we got up. We're Chelsea were playing Forest away. It was the only time I tried to get to Forest, and we left and we got there. It was the days where you didn't have a proper radio service. Really, I was only about 6, and we got pretty much all the way to Nottingham, and you realised the game had got called off, and we wondered what was going on, and it got cancelled, so it goes straight back again. I always remember it. My dad was going bananas. It took him like 3 hours to get up there.
I've had a few of those. I've had a few of those over the years. I mean, listen, if it's a local one, you don't mind.
Yeah.
I think the worst one I had was when I was at Harrow. We went to Leiston on a Tuesday night.
Where's that? Where's Leiston?
That is up by Norwich.
Oh no.
Other side of Ipswich. So that on a Tuesday night, you're looking at 4 hours on a coach.
Yeah.
But we went there in April, and the weather was lovely. So because of work, I'd driven up there. I went on the coach. So I got there, got out of the car, and the groundsman said, "Game looks a bit iffy." So what are you talking about? I said, "Sunshine." He said, "No, we've had a problem with our water pipes under one corner of the pitch." I said, "How did you had that for?" He said, "Oh, a couple of months." Walked out on the pitch. You've never seen anything like it. There was like a sort of 40 square metre area over by the corner flag. Walking up to it, it was okay. When you got on it, you couldn't even stand up.
Oh my God!
Really?
So our coach pulled up. Referee called the game off. We had to go back the following Tuesday.
No.
They got done. They had to pay $1,000 for the coach. So
yeah, that's a
prize. So I don't think they did that again. It's not ideal.
No, that's not great. You got to just end up in a few service stations on the way. I'm going to eat in a Burger King or something just to try and make the best of it.
Exactly.
Yeah, bloody hell, nightmare.
Right. I think we're going to. That's a good point to end it there. We've been having a great chat. We've been talking for a long time, but it's been absolutely brilliant chatting to you, Steve. And I hope, obviously, in the future that you eventually get onto the UEFA A course, no matter where it is, even if you have to go up to Scotland. But I think ultimately something has to happen with the FA. Either they bite the bullet and just put on all these extra courses for these people, or they allow the other organisations like the PFA and the Premier League to put the courses on as well and do it that way, because something's clearly not working.
Put it this way, I reckon my hair will grow back before I get the that's my prediction.
It worked for Wayne Rooney, mate, so you never know.
Yeah, you never know, mate. I'll turn up next week and I've had the syrup done. You know.
Yeah, but hang on a minute. Have you got on that course? No, the syrup started working. Oh, right, fair enough.
Exactly.
Yeah, but, I was going to say, Steve, have you checked out Barbados? That's quite. They do a very nice UEFA A course over there. Make a bit of a holiday of it. If you like.
That'd do, mate, wouldn't it?
Yeah, you do play football on the beach. That'd be lovely.
Oh, yeah. If you can get me on it, I'm there.
Yeah, I'll see what I can do. I've got a travel agent friend. I'll ask her if she's any good. Yeah.
Then the cost is irrelevant. I'm up for that one.
Yeah,
definitely.
Happy days.
But yeah, thanks for coming on, Steve. Don't go away. Don't go off just yet. We'll have a little chat when we finish. But that leaves me to say that this episode was sponsored by Tritech Consulting. taking your business visions and turning them into innovative reality. For more information, visit chartechconsulting.co.uk. Simon, say good night.
Yeah, I will say good night, but first of all, best of luck to the boys tomorrow night. Hope they do the business against Dorking. Dorking, I wish, not Dorking, Worthing. Wronging. Yeah, hopefully, best of luck with that, Steve. Hope you make it there all right.
Yeah, I'll be there. Don't worry about that.
Good stuff. Yeah, thanks for listening and watching, guys. Thank you to Steve for coming on and giving us your time.
Yes, and and thanks, like Simon said, thanks for watching us on YouTube, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll be back next week with another episode. Good night.